What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rams Brothers. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined by my brother and the other fantastic host of this show, Nick. And Nick, I think the excitement is oozing through the screen, through the microphone. We beat Seattle. We swept them. But first and most importantly, how are you, my good brother?
I'm good. I mean, it doesn't feel like a win. I mean, I feel like we're the Steelers right now, like walking away with a win, but like not in the prettiest way.
Yeah.
But it's Seattle, it feels like St. Louis Rams football. No matter what, the Rams always were able to take care of business against Seattle, even when we had horrible teams. We always showed up against them.
A win's a win. It felt like we needed it for everybody's mojo, for everybody's confidence. For the exception of people that want to see the Rams kind of continuously lose and tank and potentially get a better draft pick. I think for the most part, for everybody in the building, for the fans that just wanted to see this team win, because it's been however many weeks, 4, 5, 6 weeks. We swept Seattle. We spoiled their Thanksgiving. We brought their record down to 6-4, and now they're no longer tied for first place in the division with San Francisco. I thought it was a really, really fun way to kick off the Thanksgiving break. And with Arizona on the horizon, it leaves a little bit of excitement. You have an opportunity to potentially get to 5-6. The season is still very much alive. And Nick, this incredible graphic flashed the screen as the game concluded. The Rams are still in the hunt. It's Green Bay, the Rams, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Everybody's 4-6 in the hunt. And the 3 wild card spots right now are Dallas, Minnesota, and Seattle. Dallas is 7-3, Minnesota 6-4, and Seattle 6-4. So what do you have to make of this outside of the fact that the Detroit Lions are 8-2?
Amazing that we're still in the hunt. It's fun. It's scrappy. It's the team that we were kind of hoping for. I mean, all day I'm just thinking 3-7, watching that game. And then to pull away and get a win. I mean, against Seattle, it's 2 against Seattle, who's a team that's going to be in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs last year. Like, I know it's division and divisional games can always go crazy, but those are 2 real wins. They're real wins with good defensive stops and good young players like Puka making plays and 4th string running backs finding the end zone. Like, you're figuring it out with this glass house of a team. You are house of cards in your way to victory. It doesn't make much sense, but at the end of the day, a win's a win.
All you could ask for. And it's coming off of a terrible start too, right? You're hopeful that they're coming off of the bye. This team's going to be well prepared. Slow, rusty are adjectives that come to mind. Stafford was hit on 2 of the first 3 plays. Tyler Higbee was missing blocks, which has kind of become a theme on the season. But Seattle was taking advantage of our inability to stay on the field offensively. Seattle was 30th on 3rd down coming into the week, and they were talking about it on the broadcast. They started the game 4 of 4. Like, we were getting dominated at the line of scrimmage, play again, to the point where Jason Peters at 42 years old was getting called out for as well as he was playing. Like, the secondary looked suspect, but they ended up switching it up in the second half, which I thought was really interesting. It's a feather in Raheem Morris's hat. Jordan actually tweeted it out that they tried out a package where they had 4 safeties on the field. It was Jordan Fuller, John Johnson III, who was talking during the week about potentially starting in this game. I don't believe he did, but he did get plenty of time, plenty of snaps. Quentin Lake and Russ Yeast all out there on the field, and then 2 cornerbacks. And it was Russ Yeast who made a really nice play on the ball to break up a 3rd down pass, which I think that was the streak that we broke of Seattle consistently converting on 3rd down. So it's important that you have to be able to switch things up when you notice things are off. You can't obviously predetermine what you're going to do as a game plan. And I think that the defense came along. It was like a tale of 2 halves, which was our expectation, right? It was like, okay, this team has never put together in this season a full game of good football. You're going to end up seeing one half where they play well and one half where they're lackluster. And it was the second half of this game where they really came alive.
And, shout out to Drew Lock for keeping us alive and in that game, because that really makes the second half look a lot better with him being in there. The defense is, getting an interception. They're getting 3 and outs when they need them. And then the offense is able to string some stuff together. First November win since Stafford's been in LA.
I love that. Awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Good stat pull by you, and fantastic the fact that we're finally stringing together some November wins. It does feel like it's been a while, and you're a field goal away from that being a loss. Like
Yeah.
you're that
A
close.
field
You're
goal
that
that I
close.
almost would have guaranteed that kid was going to drill. If you would have asked me 2 seconds before the kick, I would have been like, it's absolutely. Seattle kickers always tend to play to their best degree against the Rams.
Yeah, how about this kicker? And we'll talk about this a little bit later on. I mean, the kick, Jason Myers, he hadn't missed in 6 weeks. Like he hadn't missed a field goal in any form, an extra point, a field goal, nothing. Against the Giants 6 weeks ago in a meaningless situation, I think they were up like 24-3 late in the game. He tried a 53-yard attempt. I don't know what the weather was like. You don't know what kind of the in-game situation was. He missed it. And that to me was the last indication of him potentially missing a field goal, because the week prior, you're looking back, you're like, DK Metcalf completion. They're setting themselves up for a field goal. Geno spikes it. He's going to come in and make a 55-yard field goal and win the game. And it's an indoor stadium. The outcome seemed like it was going to be directly similar, but thank God it wasn't. The Rams are back in the win column. And Nick, I'll ask you this, because I saw this picture floating around, and it just kind of blows me away to see Carson Wentz in full Rams gear, which is, I think this may be the Rams' new best uniform combination, and they're the most winningest combination that they wear. But I was thinking to myself, who would you rather have, Drew Lock or Carson Wentz in that situation? Because it's
quite a real who's who of people I don't want to have to trust. But I mean, I guess Carson Wentz, just based on what Drew Luck did today, but we haven't seen anything of Wentz. I was really worried that we were going to have to see Wentz when it felt like we were actually building momentum. So it was, Stafford's just a dog through and through, and got back out there and put the team on his back and found a way to win that one.
But I mean,
if Wentz went out there, I was not ready for that.
But this is why you have Aaron Donald, right? This is why you have the greatest player in the history of the Rams' organization, because when the third quarter was expiring and Seattle had a 16-7 lead, the reason why you don't let your offense go one-on-one against the greatest player the Rams have ever had is because he changes the outcome of games, because he dances in the locker room, he bursts out of his shirt, and he is the man. He's the best. I mean, he is like a cannonball out of a cannon. One-on-one opportunities, it's almost a guarantee that he's able to get a pressure and hit the quarterback. And in this instance, he takes the quarterback out of the game. And when Drew Lock enters the game, Nick, here are the stats. 3 possessions, 7 total yards, and the Darion Kendrick interception that changed the total outcome of the game. So it's Aaron Donald. I mean, he doesn't get enough praise on this podcast, probably. We should have more episodes just catered to his greatness. But he deserves all credit for changing the outcome. He does.
Yeah, and you brought it up. I mean, Raheem played back. He played soft coverage in the first half, and then completely changed it up and was like bringing 5 for the majority of the second. So that was awesome to see them completely change it up and allow them to get comfortable and then be like, well, this is what you thought it was going to be. Too bad. And then to knock Geno out of the game, and then he comes back and almost does enough to seal them a victory, but sometimes the wind just doesn't blow your way in sunny California.
Sorry, Jason. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, I was going to say Russell, but sorry, Geno. I think what's really interesting in this game is, like, you look at Puka Nacua, you look at Cooper Kupp, and you look at some of the target share when they're both in the game. And I don't think Puka Nacua had a target when Cooper Kupp was on the field. To me, that's really concerning, because it's a tale of two halves, but it doesn't have to be. That's my concern. It's like you could probably simplify the playbook. The Rams ran 12 plays and only had 78 yards on 3 possessions when Cooper Kupp was on the field. Puka Nacua had 0 targets, as I mentioned, 2 punts and a turnover in the red zone. You can guess how many of those plays, Nick, they ran the ball. Don't look. I'm going to give you an over-under total. You ready?
Yeah.
4.5 in the first 12 plays of the game. How many times did they run the ball? Over, under 4.5.
It has to be under, because they were playing from behind.
They ran it 4 times. The opening play was to Darrell Henderson. You're correct. You win the money. Darrell Henderson, opening play, and then 3 times the following possession in the red zone to Royce Freeman, but no other run attempts in that possession, the second possession of the game. And then the following possession, they ran the ball net 0 times. So that's 4 times in the first 12 plays of the game. So the Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua argument of, like, is the Rams' offense better when Cooper Kupp is not on the field? No, the Rams' offense is just better when they're balanced. It's just better when they're perfectly balanced and they're able to run, commit the ball, to Royce Freeman and roll Matthew Stafford out of the pocket and get the play action game going. The simple stuff that we talk about all the time.
Cooper's had a really weird year. I mean, he like contorts his entire body around to try to make that end zone catch that he should have, like that he's catching that 10 times out of 10 every other year. And then this year he misses it. And then also, like, not only is it Kupp and Nacua, but shout out to 81, Austin Trammell, kind of coming in and like.
It's not Ned Schneble. It's Austin Trammell. It's just
what did I say? Trammell?
Like camel. Trammell like camel.
Trammell. Well, there's a bunch of M's and L's there that make it seem like it's a little more.
Actually, it's Schneble.
Just call me Mr. S. But Trammell, I mean, coming in as soon as Kupp goes down and actually I messed up again. Trammell coming in. And like they wanted to get him hot, and he made some like important plays in that game. I was like really impressed with him stepping in. But yeah, it's a down year for Cooper Kupp, and I feel bad for anybody that has him on the fantasy team because it seems like the moment he steps away, they're a better team, honestly. Like.
So two things. I'm going to leave you with this. So the running game has to be balanced, obviously, for your offense to be productive as a whole. But we also talk about like the progressions for Matthew Stafford. Do you think the Rams give a little bit too much for Matthew Stafford to chew on pre-snap? Like, and then once obviously post-snap when he has the ball in his hand, when he has to read Cooper Kupp through his progressions on an option route and look out for 2-3 things, the tendencies of a linebacker, the tendency of a corner, the tendency of a safety just on one specific player, then work through that progression, get to Puka Nacua, get to Austin Trammell, get to Ben Skronik, Tyler Higbee, whomever else it may be. Do you feel like it more simplifies the game plan when Cooper Kupp is off the field because there's less optionality within Matthew Stafford's progressions?
100%. Stafford's had like all day. I would love to see a breakdown of how much time he actually had. It feels like he had 3 to 4 seconds to get that ball out today. Defense was down his throat. Yeah. And every
especially
play
early.
McVay wants to call is a long developing pass play. And it bites him in the ass. It's probably one of the reasons why he didn't really get along with Jared Goff too well. And like, because he wasn't comfortable like waiting that long to let that ball rip, honestly. Like he kind of wants to get the ball out. Like he likes over the middle. He likes it simple. And Stafford's a little more okay with like wanting to take that like big gamble, big chunk play. Like, and it worked out for them. It works out when you can roll him out and when the run game, like you said, is balanced because then they don't know what they're to expect. But the fake jet sweep turned what is it?
USC. That's a Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams college.
No, it's not because they did it 10 times better. It was the Kmart version of the Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams
and
play.
It should be reversed.
It almost knocked out Stafford from the game. So, like, enough with these long developing pass plays. Like,
well, it's also like the trick plays, right? Because the other play he hurt his thumb on was a Philly special, or the Philly rather. So, it's like the red zone turnover on downs that killed a streak of 52 red zone trips with no points or with points. On a ball that went directly through Tutu Atwell's hands, which I think was a little bit of a head scratcher.
Really weird tight window throw as well.
You got to kind of stab at that ball versus like letting it kind of fall into you in that position. When there's no receiver draped over you, you could obviously slide and keep your hands upwards. But if you're trying to go out and stab that ball, make a catch in the back of the end zone, you got to get handsy. And Atwell has strong hands.
I don't know if you were like watching that play, like everything was developing on like Stafford's left, like watching him. Freeman just like stops running. If he just cut to the right and Stafford looks at him, all of that right side of the end zone is completely open. So it was like they're like on like hurry up to like get that play out to keep it all contained on that left side. It was like, let's just at least like look over to the right.
Those are the details that I was hopeful that Matt LaFleur would be able to implement. But then like that's the like backside of your progression. Maybe he had his goal was to like chip, and maybe I don't know if he was ineligible at that point, but still, no, really good point. Like that could be a different approach in the red zone, and it's an easy way to convert. It's an easy way to get points on the board. And you
I
have
didn't
to be
hate
able
them
to
going for it there, though. I think modern NFL, you have to go for that. So, like, I'm fine with it, but just 3 boring runs in a row, I thought was just, or at least 2 boring runs and then 1 pitch run. It was just like, why are we trusting our 4th down back this much when we're supposed to have this creative genius coach? Or
that's
sorry,
what I
not
brought
4th
up
down,
too.
4th string back. Excuse me, not 4th down back.
Well, that's what I brought up too with like the Cooper Kupp saga and people thinking that the offense is better when he's not on the field. It was more productive today, but like they only ran the ball in that sequence, Nick, in that possession 3 times. Most of their yards came from penalties. So like that's kind of the difference. The Rams had 267 total yards in this game. 130 yards were from penalties. Seattle's 12 penalties. It was
And we
outrageous.
needed every single one of those
They did.
to win that game.
They spotted us a lot of points, and it allowed us to flip the field. There were a couple plays, Tutu Atwell, I think a 47-yard penalty down the field on a pass interference call that flipped the field. And that was earlier on in the first half, but you needed those kind of plays. Puka Nacua, though, I'm just so insanely impressed by him. Like the jet sweep play on that final possession where they ended up scoring, that to me was just so impressive because he does everything, right? I mean,
he's a gamer. Yeah, he's a true blue gamer, baller, whatever you want to call him. He is out there making plays when he touches the ball. He's great with the yak. He's like a young Cooper Kupp. It's just weird that like him and Kupp can't coexist.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just
with Stafford, Woods, and Kupp couldn't really coexist either. Let's not kid ourselves here. That was they never really lived together.
There has to be a way, though, that you could intertwine those two. Do I have an answer on this podcast? Probably not. But I think it's simplifying Cooper Kupp's route tree and giving him less optionality and letting him just do simple things like what they do with Puka Nacua, sit in the zone. You just have a couple of zone beaters out there lining up in the slot on opposite sides. Or you line Cooper Kupp in the backfield. Like all these things that like you could line him up out wide, like all these different things that you could do and rotate to get both of these players involved. And I'm hopeful that they eventually do. But Puka Nacua, like the jet sweep, so they ran the jet sweep, and I think they got a first down in that play, and then we got a carry from Royce Freeman for no yards, and then McVay got a little panicky, and this is kind of where the situational stuff kind of kicks in because there was 1 minute and 47 seconds left in the fourth quarter in this game. It was the 2nd and 7 that I really had a problem with, where Matthew Stafford was an empty. Like, what was the purpose of that? You had so much success with him under center. And obviously the play where the 2nd and 7, you call Puka Nacua slant. He's coming off of a jet sweep where he just tried to run over 3 people. And the ball gets tipped up in the air and it's almost an interception, right? So you're thinking to yourself, first of all, why are you an empty? Second, you almost turned the ball over in the red zone and gave up the game. That would have changed the outcome like instantly. So you get to that point, and then you go Freeman, right? Or what was it? So it was 2nd and 7, and then the 3rd down play was a screen pass to Darrell Henderson. That's right. And it looked like Henderson could have scored if he went outside, but he kind of ran into the traffic, and they got held up and had to kick the 22-yard field goal. Thank God Lucas Habarisic nailed it. 22 yards. It's shorter than an extra point, but we were obviously a little bit concerned.
I was fine with that. I thought he was going to kick it. I thought that was going to be good for sure, but I thought we left way too much time on the clock with the incomplete pass. Because but I wanted them to score. I was like, I think they need to score because I think, I've seen this film before and I don't like the ending. Gino loves doing this. He loves not a lot of time on the clock, just chunk. And he essentially did it. The kid just missed the kick. Luckily for us, and now we're sitting here happy. But yeah,
Jordan Love and Geno Smith were just blended. Geno Love, it's like Buddy Love.
Is that what I said?
Buddy Love.
I'll listen back to these, and like to me, I'm like, right now I'm thinking I said that sentence absolutely beautifully.
I do it constantly. I listen back and I'm like, what the hell did I say? The one time I agreed with you perfectly, and I was like, I completely disagree with you. And then went off into a 2-minute tangent as to why I agreed with you. So you're
well, that's different. When we would play Russell Wilson 2 times a year, and we would talk about
Russell
him
Westbrook.
way more. Yeah, I would call him Westbrook. Like every other breath, it was Westbrook.
Yeah. It's so easy to do that. Hey, at least you're not saying Brett Ripon, right?
No, I'm just saying, Shanae Blay, Tremel.
That's not your fault. How many targets did Austin Trammell have before he entered this game? I mean, he returned 7 punts. So you saw him return every single one of these punts. He returns kicks. He's on the kick return team. But he was only on the field because of the Cooper Kupp injury.
Yeah.
But
I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, he's tough. He's kind of like a little bit of a blend of Danny Amendola and Nelson Spruce. He's a little bit taller. His body's more like Spruce, but I don't know. I like the ability to kind of just step in and make some plays when you need to. So we have those kind of players, the Benny Scos, the Austin Tramells of the world. But like looking forward, it's probably the offensive line that you need to focus on the most. Matthew Stafford's health obviously is always going to be a concern. And if you eliminate the trick plays and you get a little bit more health on the offensive line consistently throughout the rest of the season, I have no concerns that they're going to be competitive. And next week, you got the Arizona Cardinals. And we got Thanksgiving coming up in a couple of days. So I'm excited for it all.
Do you think they can legitimately be post-Cardinals win? Who's after that? Do you know?
After the Cardinals, I might need you here for this one.
No.
Is it the Browns? Are the Browns?
Yeah, it's the Browns. I should know. I'm going to the freaking game. It's the Browns.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the Browns. And then after the Browns, is it the Ravens?
I think it's Browns, Ravens, and then Commanders.
Okay.
So I think you got to go. You have to beat Arizona, and then I think you probably got to beat the Browns. Yeah. And then beat the Command, and then you probably lose to the Ravens, and then beat the Commanders, and then who knows?
You might be playing the Joe Flacco-led Browns at that point. You're going to be playing Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, who you've beaten plenty of times, and then you're going to get the Commanders, who just lost 31-19 to the Giants. Like there's potential for this season to turn around, and we're going to stay in the hunt. I'm faithful of that as long as you're able to get a win against the Arizona Cardinals coming off of Thanksgiving. So
yeah. And you know what? I feel good about it. Kyler, he looked fun today. He definitely had Kyler energy, but Kyler's worst enemy is that guy whose picture you flashed earlier, where it looks like he's doing a kumbaya circle with the other Rams.
Yeah, let's flash that again. I thought it was initially Ring Around the Rosie.
I mean, yeah, I think he's dapping somebody up while dancing, but I mean, you got to celebrate winning in November if you haven't done it since 2020. Like, come on. I'll be gone until November. Tell my baby I'm going to win in November.
Stafford was 3-0 prior to this game without Matthew Stafford against the Seattle Seahawks. Since 2021, they're 0-2. But with him, they average 25.3 points per game. That average is going to go down a little bit, but they're 4-0. His passing yards are going to go down a little bit per game. But, I mean, you've done nothing but beat Seattle in your time with Sean McVay and the Rams. So, as a Rams fan, we greatly appreciate everything you've done so far, Matthew Stafford, and you're a dog. Sean McVay called him something. Do you know what he called him after the game?
He said everybody's been really gritty. That was a gritty win. So I don't know. I don't know what specific nickname he gave Matthew this week.
Let's see if we can pull
it. In the chat with me, you, and our dad, as we're watching the game, I was not saying very nice things about anybody, but until the very end. And then I was like, this team's amazing.
Hey, that's kind of the ebbs and flows of football. And this season is more of a roller coaster than any other season. Hopefully next season will be a little bit more consistent with our ability to kind of string together some wins. But hey, against division rival, if we sweep Arizona, we go 4-1 in the division so far with San Francisco at the very end of the schedule. And they could potentially be resting players if they're in a situation where they're going to be getting a bye, which that doesn't seem likely anymore because the Detroit Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles are playing as well as they are with this in the hunt graphic. I just want to remind everybody the Rams are still in the hunt. I think the difference of like a 12th overall pick and the 15th overall pick is not that much. So I think that there's an opportunity for us to kind of string together some fun as this holiday season wraps around.
It was just nice because we watched our kicker just blow it time and time again in that Steelers game. So it was nice to see the wind blow our way this time. So
it sure was.
Great victory. Everybody enjoy your victory Mondays.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to you guys again before Thanksgiving, but make sure in the meantime that you guys are and subscribing. We gave away a Puka Nacua jersey today, and what a great day to do it. We called it, bet on him. He was going to go off. If we gave the jersey away, he was going off. It was a guarantee. So go Rams. So happy that we're able to do that kind of stuff. We love you guys, and cheers to a fun rest of the season.
Yeah. Cheers, you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you before Wednesday. Take care.
Peace. Go Rams.